In the next 10 minutes, you're gonna watch me build out a working n8n content automation from start to finish. In addition to that, I'm gonna give you an understanding of when to use Claude and other paid APIs for your workflow versus using the free tools that are already built into n8n. And this isn't a how to connect to an API. This isn't a theory about a workflow. I'm actually building this out in front of you. You're gonna see a training feedback form, take a submission, turn it into a structured analysis, and then place that analysis into a Google Sheet. The whole thing. Triggered to delivered. Then I'm gonna show you 3 scenarios where you absolutely should not be using Claude. It's basically like you're paying for something that a spreadsheet would do for free, and we don't want that. So here's the problem that this solves. Let's say you run a quarterly workshop training. At the end of that workshop, you end up sending out a feedback form, and you get 40 responses, all open-ended answers. Now you need to pull themes from the reports to be able to show the leadership. Right now, if you were doing this manually, you'd be reading every response and trying to figure out what exactly the sentiment is and where to place them. That's easily 2 hours. Now this workflow does all that automatically. Form submitted, Claude reads it, extracts the key themes, determines if it's positive or negative in sentiment, writes it to your dashboard, done. But here's what matters more than the automation itself. Understanding when to use an AI tool that costs money versus using one of the free tools that's included in Google or n8n. A quick way to think about it, if you can write it as a rule, don't use AI to guess it. That's the framework you're learning today. So let's go ahead and build it. Now for this workflow, there is a part of the setup that happens outside of n8n that of course is creating your Google form along with the Google Sheet that's gonna hold all of this information. All of that will be plugged into the description. It's for the exacts of what you need. I'm not going to cover that in detail during this. This is just the automation portion. Now, this AI workflow has 4 pieces: the trigger, the AI processor, the parser, and the output destination. Let's walk through each one of those before we build this out. This is the trigger. When someone submits the Google form, an app script fires instantly and hits the webhook URL, n8n wakes up, and the workflow starts. This is the processor. Claude reads the unstructured feedback text and extracts the themes, sentiment, action items, and the confidence rating. It returns that as structured text. This is the parser. Claude returns plain text. This node converts it into clean JSON fields that the spreadsheet can actually use. It's the bridge between Claude and your sheet. This is the output. The parse data gets appended as a new row in your dashboard. Every submission stacks neatly underneath the last one. So back in n8n, we want to start with our trigger being a webhook. So what you're gonna do is go ahead and click on that plus icon and you're gonna search for webhook. Once you find webhook, you're gonna open that node up and you wanna change HTTP method to post. And you'll see a test URL and a production URL up here. These are gonna come in handy in a bit. Before we configure Claude, we need to wire up our webhook trigger. Now it's just sitting there waiting. We just need to give it a URL and connect it to the form. Now click on the production tab. You're gonna copy that URL. This is the address that n8n is listening for any incoming requests. Now, quick note, if you're running n8n locally like I am, your webhook URL starts with localhost, which Google can't use. I'm using ngrok to give it a public address. The setup guide is gonna be in the description. Cloud n8n users can skip this entirely. Now go to your Google form, click extensions, and then app scripts. This is where we tell the form what to do every time someone submits it. You're gonna paste this script and replace the webhook URL placeholder with the production URL you just copied. This script fires every time someone submits the form and it builds the payload and sends it right to n8n. Now we set up the trigger. Click the clock icon in the sidebar, add trigger, set the function to on form submit, event source to from form, event type to on form submit, and then save it. Now Google's gonna ask for permissions. Click allow. You're gonna authorize the script to run on your behalf to make external HTTP requests. Now we'll confirm it works. We're gonna submit a test response through the form back in n8n. The execution log should show a new entry with a green check. Webhook fired, payload received. We're connected. We need to get our API for Claude set up. So go ahead and head over to console.anthropic.com. You're gonna click API keys, create key, copy that. Also, before you leave here, you're not done. You need to make sure you've got some money here in Claude. Go to billing, add $5. This API will not work without credit on your account. This is not a trial limitation. This is just how Anthropic works. I don't know as of today. I know when I first signed up, they gave me a free $5 credit. I don't know if that's still a thing. Now back in n8n, add a new node. You're gonna search for Anthropic. We're using Anthropic's native code, not an HTTP request. The operation is message a model. That's the one you want. You're gonna come into that node and click the credential drop down. You're gonna do create new credential and then paste that API key in there. And you wanna remember, store this, do not hard code it. So model selection, use Claude Sonnet 4.6. That's the current Sonnet model as of March 2026. It's a good balance of speed and quality, which would be good for this type of task. We've got the connection, we got the model set up. Now we got to give it a prompt. So here's what happens when you treat Claude like a search engine. We're going to do a basic prompt that just says, analyze this feedback. There's your output. Paragraph, no structure, no categories. This would be useless for a spreadsheet. Now that's what happens when you treat Claude like a search engine instead of like an employee. Here's the fix. You need 3 things: context, format, and constraints. So this is the prompt we're gonna give it. You're an L&D analyst. A training participant has submitted the following feedback, and we place our body text from the previous node, which is the webhook trigger. That variable pulls the fully concatenated form response that the app script sent to the webhook. Every question and answer in one string. That's what Claude is reading. Extract and return exactly these 4 things. Number 1, key themes, a semicolon separated list of the main topics or concerns raised. Max 6 themes, keep each under 6 words. Number 2, sentiment, a short phrase describing the overall tone followed by an estimated percentage of positive sentiment in parentheses. Number 3, action items, 2 to 3 specific actionable recommendations for the training team. Start each with a bullet. Number 4, confidence. Your confidence in this analysis, high, medium, or low. And then we tell it, return your response in this exact format. Key themes, sentiment, action items, confidence. So that's the output, structured, labeled, and ready to parse. So notice Claude is returning all of this in text format, not JSON. That's intentional. We're gonna handle that parsing in the next node. It just gives us more control over what we're gonna do with that once that field is extracted. So Claude returned us that structured text, but our Google Sheet is gonna need individual fields. The code node is what's gonna help us bridge that part right there. Now, this is not something you need to know. This is where your ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whatever platform you enjoy can help out, let it know what you're trying to do so that you can get this right here, which is JavaScript. It basically says, read Claude's raw output text, use regex to find each labeled section, return a clean JSON object with 4 fields, key themes, sentiment, action items, and confidence. So now we'll have structured data that the spreadsheet can actually consume. You now have Claude connected, a prompt that works, output data that is structured, ready to go. Now you need to get this all into a document so your team or yourself can benefit from it. And also, you need to know when you don't need to do all this. So let's finish the workflow. So next up, we're gonna add a Google Sheets node, and we wanna use the append operation for this. So you need to, first off, authenticate with Google. If you're already connected Google to n8n, just select your credential. If you haven't, you're gonna click create new and then go through the whole OAuth flow there. Now our operation is append row. That way, every time feedback comes in, a new row gets added to the dashboard. Now we've gotta select our spreadsheet. I'm using feedback analyzer sheet, and then we will select the dashboard tab. Now here we're gonna do field mappings. We need to map our columns to the fields that are in our output from that code node. Date is gonna get the current timestamp. Then we're gonna take the respondent and training session. Both of those fields are coming straight from the webhook, and that's the name that the person entered into the form and the form title. And then the analysis field actually come from our code node output. Now these $JSON references are pulling from the code node's output object. Again, key themes, sentiment, action items, confidence. Each one maps to a column. All right, so let's run this whole thing so you can see the full workflow in action. Form submitted, Webhook catches it, Claude reads it, it's extracting the themes, copy nodes, parses it, sheet gets the row. Sheet updated. Now that's what I promised you from the start. It's an AI content automation from scratch in n8n. Now, Claude costs money per request. Not much, I'm talking tenths and hundreds of cents at times, but it can add up, especially if you're using this a lot. So with that, you need to know when it's worth it versus when it's not. Use Claude when you're processing unstructured text that doesn't follow a pattern. Feedback responses, survey comments, email summaries, things where there's a different pattern of input and you need human-like interpretation. Don't use Claude when you're just doing simple data transformations. Routing based on a dropdown, formatting a date, checking if a field is empty, things like that. Here's a real example. If your form has a multiple choice question, was this training helpful, yes or no? And you route to yes, responses to one sheet, no responses to another, that's an if node, free. If you can write it as a rule, don't pay AI to guess it. A workflow that took unstructured feedback, turned it into something useful. And now you have a decision framework that you can use when needed. Unstructured text that needs interpretation, Claude. Structured text that just needs some routing, free nodes. So the workflow template is gonna be in the description down below. You can download it, import it into your n8n instance, whether you're using self-hosted or cloud. I'm using self-hosted because I might be cheap. Either way, whichever you're using, it will work. You spend about 10 minutes setting it up, maybe 15, maybe 20, more like 10, hopefully. And in the end, you're saving multiple hours. It's a win. A dub is a dub. Now with that, I'm Ken Jones for I Technically Can, and I'm out of there. Wait a minute, I'm back right quick. If you haven't already, sign up for the Tech Tips email list. I drop weekly emails about all kinds of things under this digital landscape that we're in. A lot of it leaning AI, sometimes it's just a thought, sometimes it's tutorials, other times it's freebies and things for you to have from me to you to get you better in this space. All right, now I'm really going.